Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. You know, along me and me and Pri and Ethan, we get the pleasure of working with all of these companies and helping coach them as they, work on their pitches and months coming. And this particular group is a really strong group. We're excited to, bring them to the stage. The first founder that we have is one that I've been able to work closely with, Kamel. He is the CEO and founder of FibrX. FibrX is transforming the way that we think about corrosion and structural risk, and he's going to dive into all the details there. But one of the kind of great things about Kamel, when I first saw his pitch, I thought, okay, here's an experienced founder. He knows how to build a company. So he's done this before. He's built something from the ground up. He's sold into government, which is incredibly relevant to what he's doing today. And then when I got to work with him, I saw that those skills in action. He was able to build a team around him. You'll see in his deck, he has an incredibly strong team working with him. He, inspired, this great group of people to build this with him. And he's got an advisory board with some of the top companies, in his industry that have rallied behind him, are working on his team and working on this problem with him. And because of that, over the course of the months that I've been working with him, he's been able to be relentlessly focused on building those relationships in these difficult industries. So I've seen him over the last couple months build relationships, close deals, launch pilots in oil and gas, in government, and with university partners, which is not a small feat. So, I'm really excited to, invite him to come and tell you more about what he's doing. Thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Kamel Greene, founder and CEO of FibrX. I can distinctly remember my time working for the National Nuclear Security Administration. There was this continuous emphasis on wanting to understand the structural health of our critical infrastructure. This is because when critical infrastructure is not adequately monitored, it can prove disastrous, ultimately leading to the loss of life, supply chain issues, and national security vulnerabilities. Here at FibrX, we're building a real-time 24/7 continuous monitoring platform powered by AI, as well as fiber optics as a sensor. This means the end user now can be able to see what's happening in real time at the microscopic level. We're a dual use application, so we're working within the public and private sector. So within the public sector, aerospace and defense, within the private sector is really leaning in from a nuclear as well as offshore wind, oil and gas standpoint. When looking at this problem, we identify three major issues. The first one being is inaccurate solutions. Right now, when trying to remedy or understand or detect what's happening from a structural corrosion standpoint, we've seen that most use cases are either visual inspection or LiDAR. Now, the problem with these solutions is that they're one, invasive, and then in addition to that, they're actually reactive. Secondly, we've seen that the troubling infrastructure is just a problem. So we know that the US has been first to a lot of different things, but right now we're seeing the ramifications of being first, and we need to fix that. And then lastly, it's too costly. This is a $2.3 trillion problem that's happening year over year. And then within the Department of Defense in particular, 20%, which is equivalent to $20 billion of their annual maintenance budget goes specifically to corrosion. We want to fix that. And so what is FibrX? So this is a three-pronged solution. So we have a software standpoint, which is our AI ML, as well as a hardware solution to that. And so what we're looking at is we are able to extend the lifespan of that critical infrastructure because what we're utilizing is fiber optics as a sensor. So now you're seeing things in real time. And so this now is predictive insights, predictive analytics. And so not only are you detecting the problem, but you're able to prevent the problem in the future as well. Now, when looking at our traction, one of the big things I like to set the record straight is that this solution is not some figment of my imagination. This is the real deal. So we have a working MVP. In addition to that, we also have an exclusive license with the US Navy. We're currently launched pilots within the oil and gas space right now as well. And then we also have a pending CRADA with NASA. One of the big things that I'm super excited about is the CIBR and CITR program was just reauthorized. And a lot of people don't know, so I like to say we were just awarded, which was our first application, we were just awarded a CIBR with the US Air Force as well. And so this is a problem that's needed, and we're effectively going to solve that as well. When looking at some of the big things, one big thing I like to denote, which I kind of got ahead, is moreover how the solution actually works in real time. And so right now, what you all can see right here is you all see the platform. So rather this is an oil and gas pipeline or offshore wind turbine, this is distributed fiber optics. And so this is not the traditional norm of a fiber optic. This fiber optics is monitoring two different data points. So it's a data point, it's a change in temperature as well as a change in pressure. And so we're able to apply that to the infrastructure itself, and it doesn't have to be on the full platform for it still to monitor areas in which the fiber optic is not adhesive to that platform. We're then able to analyze that data, and that's where our AI and ML is happening. We're setting delineations, understanding different baselines and thresholds, and then we're able to wirelessly send that to a dashboard. And so now you can imagine someone over oil and gas, nuclear, offshore wind, being able in real time to see from their mobile device or their tablet to see a dashboard and see a 3D rendering, a digital twin of what's going on. As I've talked to, these are some of the different traction points. I've talked about the license. I've talked about the different use cases as far as just closing with the Air Force. But one of the big things I'd like to denote as well is really our strategy in expediting ourselves from an R&D standpoint. And you can see that happening with different universities we're partnered with. This is a big market, and a lot of times people see the market size, right? Our total addressable market is 3.2 trillion, but this is unique because we're agnostic per se in so many different areas. However, in running our unit of economics, we filter it down based off where we want to focus on first. So again, public sector, aerospace and defense, private sector, more of oil and gas, offshore wind and nuclear, and then we'll scale accordingly. When looking at how we're going to scale, right now, our main goal is $1.2 million in annual recurring revenue by Q1 of next year. And how we're going to effectively do that is getting these SBIR and SITR opportunities as well as closing capital so that we can excel and really focus on speed. Right now, we're in that iterative process as far as our platform as a whole, but we're also working and having active customers and pilots that we know want and need this solution and are actively using it right now. How do we ultimately make money? One of the big things that I've learned in one, having a company already where we've sold to government, but also working within the federal government is I do know that when it comes to selling specifically to the government, the big thing you typically hear is the long sales cycle. We expedite that. And that is a platform as a service. So we have a software side and that hardware side, but our hardware components are off the shelf. And so we're able to move very quickly. And so how we can expedite that as well, as opposed to having this heavy lump sum that requires so much allocated money years ahead, we can move quicker because we know that this is going to be a multi-annual contract. So we'll ultimately get that money as well. Here's our team. Again, I mentioned before, I'm a two-time venture-backed founder, have experience in working for different laboratories as well as within national security, but also having a company where I was able to learn how to adequately position a company that works in that sells to private and public. But in addition to that, our chief technology officer is currently a professor at Ohio State University and really a world-renowned professor when it comes to structural degradation and corrosion. And then Michael Kupels, who has a wealth of knowledge, who's our systems engineer as well as our AI and ML engineer working for NASA, Raytheon, as well as Boeing. Here's our advisory board really set to focus to help us in areas in which we don't necessarily know, say, guide us in Department of State as well as within marketing and venture capital. And then right now we're actively raising a $1 million round, and we currently have 50% of that secured. I'm excited to answer any questions that you all might have. Thank you.
Great job, Kamel. Now we'll open it up to one or two questions.
There we go.
Are there additional sensor types you're going to be adding? So you said you had temperature and pressure, but I know that that's not really the game changer when it comes to degradation of metals.
So that is the game changer. So the fiber optic is the sensor itself, and that fiber optic sensor is measuring two data points. That's a change in temperature and pressure. When that fiber optic is adhesive or epoxy to the platform itself, whenever there's some type of change in temperature or pressure, it's going to indicate press on that sensor, and then that's where we're able to send those data points. And our AI and machine learning process is able to set thresholds and baseline and delineate accordingly. So that is the unique sauce to that solution.
Okay, but are there any other sensor types that you would add to the network?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you want to beef it up, you can add certain sensors that are checking temperature in itself. But the uniqueness around our sensor is that it's non-invasive, so you won't see it. And so those two data points is what you need to rectify that problem. Okay. And so that's what we're using right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. One more question.
Somebody got a question.
Okay, no problem. One more round of applause for Kamel. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
How's everyone doing? Good energy? All right. Amazing presentation. I'm one of the other EIRs. My name is Pri Walia, and I have the pleasure today of introducing Nick Fenning of Equipment Dudes. So when I first met Nick, I thought, this guy gets it. He's worked the big desk at private equity and supported the companies that they serve. But most importantly, Nick and Equipment Dudes looked at an underserved industry, especially relevant to Ohio and the Midwest, of builders and operators. He looked at the machinery that powers physical development. We heard those words being used earlier today. And he said, we can do better. Nick is authentic, he's deeply capable, and he knows how to build companies that scale. We heard that over and over again. You need founders, and then you need operators. And Nick has that unique combination. So let's welcome Nick of Equipment Dudes, who is transforming the way that heavy equipment is bought and sold.
Thank you, Pri. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Fenning, CEO and founder of Equipment Dudes. As Pri said, we're modernizing the way that the used heavy equipment market moves transactions and moves equipment between buyer and seller. Traditionally, the market has been opaque and fragmented, and we're using automation and intelligence to bring trust and efficiency to an outdated market. We're building the car gurus meets OpenAI for heavy equipment. Every buyer and seller in our industry has at least one story about a used equipment deal gone wrong. Some of them have many stories. And when you look at the options, it becomes obvious why. On the seller side of the equation, they're either trying to sell to passive marketplaces, to fickle buyers, wasting a lot of time and money, or they're forced to use auction platforms where they're giving up to 50% of their value through forced sales and high fees. Buyers don't really have it any better. On the buyer side of the equation, they're buying from private sellers or at auction, typically unverified assets from unknown sellers, which presents a huge risk in terms of potential downtime, potential hidden repair costs, which drives lower revenue, lost wages, and potentially damaged reputation as well. For a buyer, to mitigate that, their options are either buy a brand new piece of equipment at 3 to 5 times the cost of a high quality used piece, or they can spend weeks or months, basically make a full-time job out of searching for used assets and flying all over the region or the country to inspect each piece one by one. So a huge amount of value is being lost, and Equipment Dudes is solving that. So big problem, even bigger opportunity. At $200 billion in annual transaction revenue and almost $20 billion in collected transaction fees every year in the US alone, it's bigger than the used car market in the US. Unlike used cars, there's no Carvana, there's no car gurus. Nobody's really stepped in to use technology to drive efficiency within an inefficient market. Intelligence and automation has made the proverbial iron hot, and Equipment Dudes is poised to strike. So due to the complexity and just the natural skepticism in our industry, the lack of trust, we've built our platform in phases. Phase 1, which is our service-led marketplace, is live today. We're doing real transactions. We've done over $3.5 million in closed and funded deals. What we built with the service marketplace was we used it to validate the market opportunity and also to learn directly from buyers and sellers what the specific customer pain points were. As a result, we've learned that there's a huge demand for an end-to-end transaction solution, but intelligence and automation are key to making that solution scalable and capital efficient. We've learned from dozens of closed transactions in phase 1 to develop our phase 2, which is our fully automated intelligent workflow solution. Our AI uses verified third-party inspections to build trust between buyers and to remove friction, a major point of friction in private party buyer-seller deals. Our phase 3 will start to layer in our third-party ecosystem, which includes financing, freight, warranties, and inspections, pricing and negotiation intelligence, and escrow, de-risk the transaction for both sides of the equation, as well as ensure fair outcomes for both the buyer and the seller. So we're not just a concept, we're a viable business We've been operating for a couple of years. We've done over $3.5 million in closed transactions. We have big customers like United Rentals and the Boring Company in Las Vegas, and a significant traction here in the Midwest, especially. We've got just under $20 billion of transaction volume in our current sales pipeline, and we're generating a significant number of buyer leads for the sellers that are currently onboarded onto our platform. Currently, we have 35 sellers that are active in our marketplace today, and we've worked with over 75 total customers all over the country. We have an active partnership ecosystem with the financing, inspections, warranty, and freight, which helps reduce friction and create stickiness with the platform as well. So bottom line with the incumbents, they typically are extracting value out of the process. We're returning value back to owners through an efficient, automated solution that's capital efficient and highly scalable. How we make money? We've got a pretty straightforward revenue model, 3 revenue streams that are aligned as we scale market liquidity. Sellers pay a subscription fee to use our platform and onboard equipment. Transaction fees align with actual marketplace activity. And then our third-party ecosystem provides another stable and expandable source of revenue, and again, also produces stickiness for our platform. As market liquidity scales, monetization naturally falls. We have a balanced go-to-market, which includes SEO, social media, email, as well as paid search. By far, referrals and partnerships have emerged as our highest quality lead source, especially on the seller side of the equation. So as we look to scale market liquidity rapidly at a low customer acquisition cost, our plan is to focus on very dense markets like Florida and Texas, and high velocity projects where we can create referral flywheels. Our platform is built by seasoned operators with deep domain and technical expertise. Jeff and Sean, our lead technical advisors, bring marketplace builds to the table, as well as several successful exits. I myself have spent over 20 years in leadership in legacy industries, working for a Fortune 500 aerospace company located here in Cleveland, as well as several private equity-backed manufacturing companies. So we have both the discipline and the expertise to develop the platform and scale it effectively. We're raising $1.5 million on a safe. Those funds will be used to develop our platform intelligence, scale our go-to-market strategy so we can scale our market liquidity rapidly. Over the next 12 months, we're looking to validate the market on our intelligent automated solution on our way to our goal of $2 million in ARR in our next round of funding. Our mission is very simple: to bring efficiency and trust to a market that historically has been fragmented and outdated. Once we do that, liquidity starts to flow again and everybody wins. Happy to answer any questions.
Great job, Nick. 1 or 2 questions from the audience?
My name is Rob Winings. And on the revenue side, the 3.5 million, that was the total gross on the equipment, and you were getting fees primarily just from subscriptions, or was there a percentage of the asset, or did you net 3.5 out of the whole?
So no, that's a good question. 3.5 is our transaction volume. So our fees typically are somewhere between 10 and 15%. Although some of our transactions we net a little bit higher, so it's a little bit of a value-based pricing model. As we move to our subscription-based software, obviously the subscription revenue will become a more significant portion of our revenue.
Thank you. 1 more question?
Who would buy the subscription? Who would buy the subscription? Sellers or buyers or both?
Sellers, primarily. Sellers would pay the subscription fee and the transaction cost on the back end. We work with private fleet owners, also rental companies like United Rentals. Used equipment dealerships also use our platform pretty regularly as their main focus is on selling new equipment. So there's smaller private party type deals as well as significant enterprise market as well.
Thank you. And thank you, Nick. 1 more round of applause for Nick.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to introduce our next founder, Carrie. She's the founder of Onai. She is solving a large problem in the fertility space, and she's going to dive into the details of that much-needed solution. But one of the, the thing that really struck me about Carrie when I first met her is has this unique perspective from a founder. One, she's got, 10 plus years of experience working in the corporate space building teams. But really, she built this solution for herself. She is customer kind of number one. She was in the space. She saw how this was a huge problem that needed to be solved. So she built this. She's the customer that she built it for. She deeply, deeply understands it. And that gives her a superpower that I've seen. I've seen as she's dealt with product questions with her, developers. She, she understands how to build something for her customer. I've seen it as she's forged relationships with clinics, and I've seen it as she's engaged in conversations with large industry, potential, partnerships. So I'm very, very excited to, bring her to tell you more. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Christine. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Carrie Carmen, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Onai, where we are making fertility care intelligent. I'm here because of a very personal story. The fertility system failed me, and it's failing millions of women around the world right now. And this is happening because the moment a woman realizes she cannot get pregnant and goes to the doctor's office, medication and treatment starts with no assessment of her body. And doctors are assuming that her body is ready for treatment. So she jumps right in, and 78% of IVF cycles fail. And despite all of the advancement in the fertility space, that number has not moved in decades. And the reason is because, again, they're not looking at the body and asking the question. The most important question is she ready? What would happen if we could change that? What could happen if we assessed her body and optimized her body before she went into treatment? That is what Onai was built to do. I did everything fertility care told me to do, and it still didn't work. I went through 26 rounds of IVF. For context, most women do a max of 2 to 3. I spent over $500,000 for them to fail. And my diagnosis, unexplained infertility. And every time it failed, the doctor said, try again for 26 cycles. And that broke me after 6 years. And then it lit something in me, because unexplained is not good enough. It's not a diagnosis. It just means no one's looking in the right places. And unfortunately, this isn't just my story. It's the story of 1 in 6 people worldwide who are struggling with infertility. After years of my failed cycles, I realized the signals were always there. What was considered normal is not normal in fertility. As you can see on the screen, 4 examples of some of my personal biomarkers. My CRP, my ferritin, my vitamin D, my pancreatic elastase, all of them extremely out of range, but my doctors told me they were normal, and they were quietly standing in the way of my success, holding me back from implantation failure, compromising embryo development, and preventing key nutrients from getting to my uterus. Every single one of these was visible, every single one was addressable, and every single one was excluded from every single clinical decision across 26 rounds of IVF. These normal labs cost me $500,000, 25 embryos, and 4 miscarriages. Why does this happen? It happens because standard IVF care only assesses one body system in full, which is the uterus. And you'll see that on the bottom right corner. But pregnancy success depends on whole body readiness. You'll see other systems that research has proved over decades the links to their optimization and pregnancy success. So the research and the science is there, but the doctors and the clinics are not connecting the dots across the whole system. Introducing Onai, the first fertility readiness engine that tells a woman if her body is prepared for pregnancy before treatment begins. The process is really simple. She uploads the labs, the biomarkers, the biopsy reports, everything that she already has. Within seconds, we give her a transfer readiness report. We help her understand, is her body optimized? What may be quietly standing in the way? And then we provide her with a personalized protocol to close those gaps. We work with her every step of the way, guiding her, informing her, helping her how to ask the right questions and feel empowered and advocate with her clinic. $40 billion flows into the fertility industry every year. $9 billion is flowing into diagnostics, but $0 are connecting biomarkers to IVF outcomes. This is the gap that we're in. We're starting with the 252,000 IVF patients in the US who are paying on average, at minimum, $15,000 to $30,000 per cycle, and most of that is actually out of pocket. The money and the patients are there, the readiness layer is not, until now. So how do we know this works? Well, we ran a paid service. We decoded women's biological readiness for pregnancy, assessing all of the 8 systems. We mapped every root cause, and we turned it into a structured data layer. We had 250 women go through this pilot. It's a one-on-one service business concierge program. We made 200,000 plus in revenue with 0 CAC because it's all organic. And in every single situation, every single woman, we found biomarkers critical to pregnancy success that their clinics did not identify. And every single woman improved those biomarkers within a 3-month period after following our protocol. We've now started to prove it in a digital product, which we've already shipped, and we have a 9.5 thousand person waitlist. We have 1 product and 2 business models that are running in parallel. As mentioned, we started with direct to consumer. The reason for that is because we want the user-led learnings. We want to learn about who she is, how she operates, how she thinks, what she needs. And this gives us the real world signal that we need to continue to iterate the product. This helped to bring a pharma discussion to the table. We're now in conversation with a top pharmaceutical company where we're going to explore doing a clinical pilot for a 6-month study with publishable results. The idea there is that we can prove over time, first starting with 6 months, that we can have the early signals that show for the first time in decades, when a woman's body is optimized, that we can finally move the needle on IVF outcomes to live birth rates. Post the study, those clinics that are already in the pilot would be converted to platform customers. Just those clinics alone would get us to 40 million ARR at 80% margin, and that doesn't include the clinics that we would actually go source that wouldn't be part of the pilot. The market is saturated in tools. Fertility testing, cycle tracking, hormone devices, coaching, but none assess her body's readiness for pregnancy. The white space that you see on the screen, that's real, and we're the only ones standing in it. Bless you. We have a team with decades inside the systems we're trying to fix. Myself and my 2 co-founders, we bring reproductive science, global operations, and repeat founder. Around us, we have engineering, product, finance, digital health, and we have a medical advisor on our board who understands this problem from both sides as a reproductive endocrinologist, so from the clinician side, as well as being an IVF patient herself. We're raising 1.25 million, and the goal of this is to get us to a place of really building that readiness layer. So demonstrating product market fit, proving the clinical credibility with our pilot group, and then proving the data network effects of the readiness layer. We already have the traction. We've already proved the model. This raise puts infrastructure underneath it. A woman should not start an IVF cycle without knowing her body is ready. This is the world that we are building, a world in which she has agency over her body before the most important journey of her life. More than capital, we're looking for partners who don't just see this as a business opportunity, but a moral one. If this resonates with you, we invite you to join our journey.
Amazing job, Carrie. Amazing job. One or two questions. I see a couple hands. I'll go for you. Huh? Go ahead and yell.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm William from Casemaster. And quick regulatory question.
Oh, great. Yeah.
If you're advising your customers on when it might be best to receive treatment, how are you avoiding being classified as clinical decision support software and being classified as a software as a medical device?
Yep, it's a great question. So we are actually positioning ourselves as an education platform. We are not diagnosing, we are not treating, we are educating her and providing her with the information that she needs to work with her doctor. And because we're embedded in the clinic workflow, we're partnered with the clinicians on the other side. So it's really giving a dashboard to the clinic so that they understand, they can see like all of her history in one dashboard, and they understand like what's been done, what needs to be done, what the gaps are, and then they can treat them faster. And then we give her the outputs of her lab results, her test results. What does it mean? What should you know? What are the questions you should be asking your doctor? Things that could help close those gaps. And then it's up to her, obviously, to work with her medical care team to see it to fruition. So as of right now, there's no regulatory HIPAA compliance. None of that is necessary. At some point, because of certainly from an insurance standpoint, that would be the goal, because right now, of course, it'll be covered hopefully with the pharma deal. But ultimately, once that closes, it would be either covered by the clinics themselves or be out of pocket for women. The price point is $99, but still we would love to have insurance pay that. So we'll probably make the transition at some point. But for now, we're just staying as an education platform.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for yelling. Hand over here. Yep, I get it.
Thank you. That was a great presentation too.
Thank you.
I think hearing your personal story was great. Be able to connect the dots. My question is, okay, so you did your test and the woman has her results. She then takes those results to her clinician. What has been the response from the doctors? Have they felt like it was legitimate? Have they thought it was another, like, what did they think she was on Dr. Google? Like, what has been the response from the clinician standpoint to validate these results?
Yeah, it's a really, really great question. First things first, I'll just start with the obvious of like, well, what about chat or Claude, right? Because everyone's, myself included, defaulting to that. And the reality is that, obviously like generative AI is amazing, but it's not personalized, doesn't have your medical history, and doesn't have longitudinal data, which is really important. One of the concerns in full transparency that we went into this with is, will doctors resist, right? And so one way that we're going about that is through our channel, through our business models, working with doctors and bringing them in the journey. We also are building a medical advisory board with specialists from every one of the systems that we're supporting, because there is no doctor that looks holistically. And having them on board to make sure that we've got that like clinical backing and whatnot is going to be so important. But to answer your question, I'll give an example. When we first rolled out the software and did our first testing, we had two women, very similar situation, but completely different people. Both of them were in their lab. They were preparing for an embryo transfer. So that's the stage where you have the embryo, you put it in, you hope it sticks, and then hopefully it leads to a pregnancy. In both cases, both of them were in their last cycle. This was it. It's either going to happen or it's not. And one of them was scheduled 2 days later, and one was scheduled a week later. And in both cases, they put all their test results in within seconds. We gave her the readiness report, said, hey, flag, we've got there's a system that's out of range, and this could cause, this could impact your ability to get pregnant. Here's what to write your doctor. It puts out a note that they can copy paste, put in the portal. They both sent it to the doctor. Both doctors actually said, I was shocked, wow, thanks for sharing. We need to pause your transfer. And in one case, the doctor said, I think this is the reason for your recurrent miscarriages over the past few years. So we're seeing really early signals, but the reality is we can't count on that. And so the way that we're getting to it is bringing the doctors in as like co-branding the pilot so that we're building for them with them.
Thank you. And thank you, Carrie. One more round of applause for Carrie.
That was a great presentation. Thank you, Carrie. All right, we've got another one. And, what I would like to say is that some people spend their whole lives chasing fandom. But Steve Paris has spent his whole life understanding the fan, the sports fan, actually. And so at every level of sports, Steve has listened. He's engaged. He's owned a sports team as well. And now he is building the next generation platform that really empowers the fan, the owner, and teams. He has this authentic, wholesome charm that I think you want out of every founder. I am his #1 fan and his company's fan. So let's welcome Plus Fan to the stage and let's hear what he's got to build.
Thank you, Pri. Okay, after following that, now we're going to talk about sports. My name is Steve Paris, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Plus Fan. A recent study by BCG suggested that the next 100 billion in sports value would be defined by organizations that build direct relationships with their fans. We're building Plus Fan to help global sports teams do just that. My background is 20 years spanning sports, marketing, data analytics. My co-founders, Dave, Sumit, and Brad, have deep software experience, including bootstrapping and exiting their own SaaS platform. We came together in 2019 when a company I co-founded acquired a minority stake in a third division Austrian football club, or soccer, if you prefer. We grew a local fan base to 22 countries, but we struggled to engage fans beyond in the arena and social media. As we looked around, we realized we weren't alone. In fact, 95% of global sports teams operate outside of the elite leagues and often struggle for resources. Corporate sponsorship is critical for these teams. In Austria, it was over 30% of our budget, and sponsors were asking for measurable results. We didn't have the data. This is pretty typical of most teams. Many studies suggest that even at the highest levels of sport, teams only have contact data on about 24% of their fans. If you don't know who your fans are, you certainly can't build a relationship with them. And fans want this relationship. Over 80% say they'd like a closer connection with their team. And if they had that closer connection, they'd spend more money. In Austria, we didn't have the resources and we didn't have the data. So we built Plus Fan. Plus Fan's a turnkey platform to help sports teams build a direct relationship with their fans. We help them build and manage membership programs. We streamline the creation and distribution of content, and we collect all the fan data into one fan profile so they can better understand their fans. Plus Fan's the perfect way for teams to generate more engagement, more data, and more revenue. Our model is simple. It's based on partnership. When the teams win, we win with them. We don't charge the teams an upfront fee or an ongoing fee. Instead, for our base platform, fans pay a monthly or an annual subscription, and then we revenue share back part of that subscription. Plus Fan keeps 25 to 50%. We know it's March Madness, right? We know sports is big business, right? We got some fans out there? The sports fan engagement market specifically today is estimated about 6.1 billion, growing at a CAGR of 15%. When we look at our addressable market, it's 2.3 billion across 4 segments. It's mid-tier European clubs, secondary sports in the US and Canada, colleges and universities in the US, and India, primarily cricket teams. That's almost 30 million fans and 20,000 teams. And those teams are underserved because today, most players in the ecosystem offer a point solution that does one or two things well. It might be merchandising, it might be ticketing, it might be email. There are some platforms with broader capabilities, but their pricing model is only affordable for the largest and most well-resourced teams. Plus Fan's in the top right quadrant, offering a platform with broad capabilities and a partnership model that works for the 95%. We have 9 active teams today, 2 more launching this month, 1 in red lines as of this morning. Membership is growing steadily, and we see an 88% conversion of paid members after 90 days. Retention. We have active pipeline in all 4 of our core segments, And we see almost a 50% conversion rate when we're in front of a qualified prospect. We've signed our teams individually so far, but increasingly we see strategic relationships as the way we're going to scale. We have a 6-team hockey league set to launch this summer. We're piloting with a sports streaming service, and we're in conversation with several ticketing agencies or ticketing platforms for a joint offer. When we launched our pilot, we launched with a really flexible subscription platform that allowed teams to give their fans an insider experience. We then added a mobile app, content creation and distribution and management based upon client pain points. In the next few weeks, we'll launch Playbook, which for the first time will give teams a detailed view of their fans and the ability to auto-generate content and engagement plans to reach them. By the end of the year, we'll be well on our way to creating what we call the fan engagement operating system for sports. It'll connect or offer all of the core fan engagement functions that teams need, and it will provide a unified view of those fans so they can build personal relationships. We're raising $750,000 through a SAFE. We'll use that in product development, sales and market to accelerate to over 30 teams and 15,000 paid members, and then lean support and ops to support the processes that'll handle scale. There's 20,000 teams out there that could use Plus Fans, so we got to be ready for them. Our path is clear. Today, our no-risk revenue share model is driving our install base. New features are increasing stickiness. And as adoption and usage increases, all of these fan data points, all the actions in the platform are feeding a database, which will deliver the fan operating system for teams around the world. Thank you.
Great job, Steve. Questions? Questions? Oh, couple hands. I'll go here first.
So Erlan, are you saying that as a fan, there would be a fee on my part to subscribe to a specific team that I'm interested in?
Correct, yes.
And then what am I getting for that fee?
Yeah, that's a great question. It does vary by team. We're incredibly flexible, and we want to meet the team where they are. But what we've seen most of our teams do is provide something that feels like you're on the inside. So that can be exclusive content, that can be perks, that can be even things like one-on-one meetings with senior leaders. We've had some of our teams do things that are really, really simple, like virtual press conference. Invite only, have to be a member. We see teams streaming their matches, and sometimes they're streaming matches that aren't otherwise available. It could be their second team. We have a team in Northern Ireland that all of their men's teams are covered by BBC, Sky Sports. None of their women's games are covered. So they stream those. And so it can be a variety of different things, but the goal is to allow you to get closer to the team and feel like you're on the inside.
Thank you. One more question back here.
Yeah, thank you so much. The slides were really cool. Also, I like the name. My question was more like, I'm not sure if you covered that, but a lot of these small teams, they don't have a large fan base. And what I understood from your product is that your product is for managing the fan base, not necessarily like increasing that. Can you elaborate on that? Whether you guys also help the teams to increase their fan base and then manage them, or it's just only for management?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the teams that we're focused on when we look at those core segments, they're actually a decent size. Many of them, particularly in our first ICP in Europe, these are old historic teams. My grandfather was a fan, my father was a fan, I'm a fan, that sort of thing, right? And so they actually are decent size. They'll draw 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 fans to a match. We're helping teams engage them, but that engagement creates new fans. It also creates revenue across all of the ways that fans spend money with the team.
Great, thank you. One more round of applause for Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Great presentation. So our next founder that we have coming up is Rob, who is the CEO and founder of Beacon. And this is another, I mean, we've have such amazing founders in this cohort. So, Rob is, a very talented founder. He, has been at the helm of four exits as the CFO. So he definitely knows how to build something of value. And, some of the things that I've seen that Rob does really well is he has a quality that, came up in the panel earlier. He knows how to listen deeply to his customers and he iterates quickly. And I've seen this in real time over the past couple months working with him as he's kind of figured out exact product market fit. I've sat in on calls with him with potential customers as he's kind of listened to them and then been able to, develop his product into something that is a true need for them and solves a problem that they have. And as a result, in the course of this cohort, I've watched him as he's rapidly closed, upwards of 10 deals from his, his ICP and his main customer. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to continue to do as he continues to grow and let him tell you more about what he's building. Thanks a lot.
AI slop is getting in the way of a lot of things right now for buyers and sellers. It's making sales cycles slower, it's making it hard to know what information you can trust, and it's making it harder to know who you can trust. But there's one thing that's always worked: referrals. Referrals worked then and referrals work now. According to Harvard Business Review, 84% of B2B purchases originally start from a referral. And this is something that I saw as a CFO of venture-backed and PE-backed businesses. One of the things that drove me nuts as a CFO is how much money we wasted on the wrong sales channel, specifically when I knew that the best sales channel that we often had was referrals. I lived through 4 exits and have done the journey of 0 to 100 million in revenue, and that's what pushed me to start Beacon. Beacon is the first solution that combines 3 elements. Human connection. We focus on warm, not cold. Incentives. We make it worth people's time. And gamification. We make it feel more like a game than a chore. And what's the result? We take the trust that all of you have built offline and turn that into online connections that can convert to cash. So let's talk about what people are doing today. There's obviously word of mouth. It's free, it's cheap, but it's an inconsistent way to build pipeline and scale a business. The next category of cold data and social platform is becoming increasingly noisier. I even just saw some of you cringe looking at Apollo, LinkedIn, Zoom Info. And even though it's a good discovery tool, it's getting noisier and more of a waste because it's not actionable. Then you have outsourced lead gen. Honestly, the only thing that it's good for is a great picture on the slide. But spray and pray as a strategy converts exactly like you think spam would. And then you have Beacon. From our perspective, we're focused on the most important thing, which is that your best customers come from referrals. So let's talk about how it works. Beacon unlocks warm leads in 2 steps. We map out a business's network, and then we activate and incentivize intros and deals. In terms of the step 1, we map out a business's network when they invite past clients and other personas in. We build a referral graph around those personas, and then we press play when they're ready, and we're ready to release that with our ICP agent to target warm intros. The step 2 is we're activating those intros and deals based on incentives that we've contractually agreed upon with the business. And those deals close faster because they're coming from a warm intro. So we make money as this happens in 2 ways. We generate revenue as meetings are completed and deals are closed. The average customer with us will generate us somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 annually, which is based on getting 4 meetings from those warm intros that convert somewhere between 25 and 50% of the time. So we'll go from where we are today to $1 million in revenue with 25 customers. The opportunity is that there's over $1 trillion spent annually supporting sales for professional services organization and software businesses. We're starting where our founding team's network is the strongest, which is finance and accounting services firms, as well as software development shops. Like Christine helpfully mentioned, we've seen immediate traction because the pain is so acute. Just in the last 3 weeks of the Trailblazer Accelerator, we closed 10 deals for $87,000 with 2 additional ones out for signature to push us past 100,000 immediately. The confidential logo that's on the slide is a 40,000 person accounting firm that confirmed even for someone like them as sophisticated and big, this pain point is so acute, they need the solution immediately. In terms of how we scaled, I obviously just showed 10 instances where we did one-to-one sales to get 10 contracts. I know that we can get past 25 in shorter than the next 12 months as we have those in motion, and there's a ton of people in here that I'd love to talk to after. But as we look to scale past the one-to-one sales motion, we're targeting relationship hubs. We have one conversation in motion right now, and think of that relationship hub as a trade association, like an Ohio X, as an Accelerator or Trailblazer instance, like a JumpStart, or an enterprise opportunity, like a Workday, Salesforce, or ServiceNow. Contract with the hub, and you have immediate access to hundreds, if not thousands, of companies. I couldn't be more ecstatic to be building here in Cleveland with 2 technical co-founders, Chris, our repeat CTO, who's on the slide, our lead developer, who's a 10X engineer, who'll be transitioning in after the Accelerator, and combine that with my background in financial operations. In terms of the fundraise, heading into the Accelerator, we raised a little over $400,000 in a friends and family raise, and are targeting a $2 million seed that will kick off fundraising after the Trailblazer is complete. And doing that to attack not just the 25 customers in tandem with 3 relationship hubs, but pursue $1 million in revenue in under 12 months. And then from a use of funds perspective, we'll primarily use that to deploy accelerating product development in conjunction with go-to-market spend. I started the presentation talking about trust. Trust is at an all-time low in society. Whoever wins the market is going to win a huge opportunity, and Beacon is not just the business to do that, it's the infrastructure to power it. Whether you're someone who's a believer in companies like Beacon here in Cleveland, or you're a supporter who's interested in talking to us afterwards, we invite you to scan the QR code and then find me afterwards. I'll be in a bright fluorescent hoodie, which will make it very easy to find me. Thank you.
Great job, Rob. Any questions? Who here is Northeast Ohio's next best beacon? Here we go.
So it seems like the messaging platform is pretty secure so that you all can track the transactions that happen. Do you have any sort of guardrails to protect any outside connections where you would miss out on that transaction fee?
Great question. And for those of you who saw the lunch earlier, I'll try and tie it into an answer that Tatiana gave around what she sees as a big bet to make in Ohio, specific to fintech and decentralization. So the question that was asked, I'll word it as a verification question. So you have 3 parties who could verify the transaction. They refer the prospect as well as the business itself. And so the mechanism with which we built the referral work stream is with a longer perspective to decentralize the verification of trust. So yes.
Thank you. Another question?
Hi, great presentation. Just curious, it seems like it's a transaction-based business model right now. Will it be moving towards more of a recurring or reoccurring type revenue model?
Sure. So right now, the 10 customers that we're working with, we're living in 2 different models. One is a retainer-based model, where as the events happen, we draw down. So there's an upfront fee, essentially an access fee, and then we earn money as we go. And then the second is an outcome-based approach where we're winning with the customer. And so we believe that as we get into the relationship hub phase, it will unlock the ability to charge a front-end access fee.
Thank you. One more round of applause for Rob.
Hello, my name is Ethan Cohen. Imagine hiring someone to break into your IT systems. However, not to steal your data, but to protect it. That is the world of ethical hacking. And as cybersecurity risks grow, the demand for penetration testing and vulnerability checking is exploding. The problem is that there simply aren't enough qualified engineers to keep up with demand. After building Axe AI, a world-renowned ethical hacking company, Brett Ewing, the CEO, realized that he couldn't keep scaling his company by simply hiring more people. He needed automation. So he and his engineering team put together a platform using AI that has more than doubled the productivity of their engineering staff, while also uncovering vulnerabilities that human testers often overlook. Today, Axe AI has an impressive list of enterprise customers paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to use his software. He also has both national and international channel partners who are using his technology to identify security vulnerabilities in their clients and then licensing his technology to those customers, thereby establish a long-term recurring revenue model for Brett and his company. The traction is real. Brett recently signed a multi-year, 8-figure contract with a major medical device company. So please join me in welcoming Brett Ewing, the CEO of Axe AI.
Ready anytime? Okay, cool. All right. My team and I operate at the intersection of offensive security and artificial intelligence. Simply put, we test technologies and reduce the lag time between finding a problem in your company's tech stack and fixing it. Cybersecurity is a problem with no end, just continued perseverance. Historically, companies get a penetration test or red team once a year, and my team does the test, hands over a stellar report, and the very next day, a critical vulnerability is released on one of your technologies. And you might not know about that until we test again next year. In offensive security, as with many industries, the hidden cost is not the work itself, it's everything around the work. Configuring the tools, analyzing the data, writing the report. And when firms want to grow, they have to add headcount instead of increasing output. So the bottleneck is not talent, it's the workflow. But when you relieve that bottleneck, things like continuous testing and scalability without increased overhead becomes possible. My co-founder, Alex Fry, was a founding member of NASA's Web Application Security Program, a former vice president of technology at Elsevier Reed, and I speak to C-suites that like hearing cybersecurity through the lens of a golden retriever. Our company brings together security engineers who know the operational pain firsthand, and AI engineers who can turn that pain into product. That matters because we are not guessing at the problem from the outside. We are building solutions before the broader market has even heard of them. Axe AI operates like the cursor for red teams. In the same way Cursor accelerates delivery for software developers, our platform accelerates delivery for penetration testers. We help teams move faster with automated evidence capture, reporting, and workflow orchestration, while keeping sensitive engagement data off the cloud through local processing. And this is already showing up in the field. One of our clients used 19 different cybersecurity software products. Their team had to configure and analyze. We distilled that into one single platform. In this medical device manufacturer, our platform helped expand one customer's annual program from 90 tests to 200. That contract value grew from 1.2 to 2.5 million. The delivery team stayed exactly the same, 5 people. That is the outcome enterprise buyers care about, not another dashboard, more capacity from the team they already trust. And the way we build is also a competitive advantage. We start in the real world. Our testers create proof of concept and proprietary tooling, validate it, then hand it off to our software engineers to refactor, harden, and deploy as enterprise-ready product. So while others are still debating roadmaps, we are turning field-tested ideas into usable software in weeks or days, not months and years. We are focused on enterprise customers with 100 plus employees across finance, defense, manufacturing, and healthcare. Within that scope, your JumpStart analysts see a $6.2 billion total addressable market and a $54 million obtainable market over the next 3 to 5 years. This is a large market, but more importantly, it is a market with urgency, complexity, and budget. We also see a clear buying pattern. Smaller teams want faster delivery and scalability without stringing together 20 software products. Enterprise buyers want clarity, managed solutions, and agentic workflows and dedicated support. Different customer profiles, but the same core need. We've built a network of channel partners across the US and the EU. And we've had had validation with our traction from our customers and our startup ecosystems, including the City of Dayton, Sinclair Community College, Dayton Children's Hospital, the NVIDIA Inception Program, JP Morgan, and thank you, JumpStart Trailblazer Program. That gives us more than logos. It gives us trust, distribution, and momentum. Now, we've already closed on a $500,000 friends and family round, and now we are raising $1.5 million to finalize product and enterprise readiness and accelerate our go-to-market and pilot programs. The goal is simple. You all want to make Ohio the Silicon Heartland, and we want to protect it at scale. Thank you.
Great job, Brett. Questions?
My name is Robert. I'm curious, how do you position this versus somebody just like booting up some AI tools from Kali Linux and doing some stuff?
Please don't do that. So one of the, I mean, we utilize Kali Linux, Parrot OS, a whole host of different tools. The real difference is we have the subject matter expertise and are able to build down into very particular niches, like medical device manufacturers that I showcased. So we have proprietary data around testing these devices, and we get to test them before anyone else does. So it's our collective knowledge and leveraging this tooling without any of that data ever escaping the laptop that it's being tested on. So if you're running Kali and you're hooking up to Claude, you're processing all of that security data through Claude. So you are now trusting Claude with every one of your clients' proprietary data.
Thank you. We have time for maybe one more question. Yeah, right here.
My name is Desmond Coggins. So I know in cybersecurity you have white hats and black hats.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you stop maybe the white hats from being on the inside that's protecting the data and whatever else is from becoming black hats? Is there maybe contracts involved? How do you manage that in between from white hats and black hats?
Yeah, so that's kind of the problem with any cybersecurity tooling, any of the net vulnerability scanners or anything. Who you sell your product to, how they use it is going to be through the language of your customer agreements. So you are agreeing to use this on your hospital that you service, and that's who bought through that channel, which is also why we used to build for solo operators, and now we exclusively build for enterprise, because one, it's difficult to, for the revenue, and two, we want to really know our clients, and why a lot of our clients now have switched to just the enterprise model of, we would rather you guys run this entirely, which also keeps that liability off our hands.
Thank you. Great job, Brett.
Thank you. And if anybody is looking to go to the NCAA finals on Saturday, I got 2 tickets. So you guys want to keep talking.
Raise your hand if you hate standing in a long line. Not surprisingly, I don't think you're alone. Well, every day, stadiums, arenas, entertainment venues all struggle with the same challenge. Thousands of frustrating fans all just waiting to get through the gate. Well, enter Zed Digital and their award-winning and patented Zig technology. Zig customers simply walk into the venue. They don't pull out their phones. They don't take out tickets to scan. The system automatically checks them in and identifies anybody without a valid ticket. The impact is that lines move 3 to 10 times faster. Staffing needs at the gate go down by 30 to 70%. And there's a 15 to 20% reduction in fraud of people getting in who weren't detected. Zig's technology is already in use. Zed's technology is already in use at public transportation systems throughout the country. They have it on 700 vehicles, and they are now rapidly expanding into small and mid-sized entertainment venues of up to 20,000 people. The business model is equally compelling. They have a recurring revenue stream from the software license, and they get a % of all ticket sales sold through their platform. So please join me in welcoming Sumitra, the CEO of Zed Digital.
Thank you. I'm Sumitra Jagannath. I'm a software engineer in my background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my 3rd venture. The idea came during COVID when none of us wanted to be in lines. Nobody didn't want to be in close proximity with people. And that's when I saw a major gap in ticketing where mobile tickets were picking up and really fast, but nobody was worrying about the crowds that were gathering to enter those venues. So this is an AI agent that I started building at that time. And if you have an experience like you have on the left, we have taken that to a hands-free experience like you see there. So Zig Super Wallet is our technology. No queue, no internet needed. We've delivered great efficiencies to venues, and I'm going to share a brief video. So we are a B2B SaaS business. We have over 15 live deployments in different markets. We have public transit, which is where we started. And now we are also, in the last 12 months, we've opened the venues market with attractions, venues, and sports. When using our technology, we have over 10 venues. We have been able to deliver significant, entry and reduction in staffing, which is, from day one, venues love the benefit that it costs them less to run an event and a lot less stress for the frontline people in having to deal with the crowds. And of course, they didn't know what money they were leaving on the table before with all the fraud, and we typically measure at least 15 to 20% in each event that we have been successfully delivering this to, and of course, reduce cash at the gates. Our competitive advantage, our sensor is AI enabled, so it's a sensor and a software working together. It detects the right person at the right time, at the right distance, so we manage queues very efficiently, and so we're able to detect fraud and groups, which is a big, if you've been to any Buckeye game, for example, you have 10 people in your group, and you have to scan that ticket 10 times. Whereas here, there's one scan, and the sensor knows that you're 10 people that are entering and can identify who those 10 people are. And anybody without authorization enters or without, it's a very good intrusion detection system. So very quickly, ticketing and safety are merging, and that's the future that we are taking venues to. So we do have, of course, both these sectors, transit as well as venues, have a lot of ticketing players, but we are alone in being able to enter, provide that hands-free entry without facial recognition. That's another thing, because privacy is a big concern when you have, AI, but we don't, use facial. So we have a patented technology that enables us to be very successful and stand out among our competition. We are currently rapidly expanding into small venues, 2,000 to 20,000 visitors. That's a very fragmented market. There's not many players. All the large players like Ticketmasters, they're in the Division 1 type of venues, whereas here, there's individual app developers or website developers or cash. A lot of these venues are just taking cash right now. So we are able to immediately, with a quick sales cycle, turn around the efficiencies at these venues. And our 2025 revenues, we ended with 700,000 ARR and ticket sales that sold through our platform, about 1.1 million, our SaaS licensing and implementation. So we have successfully, our revenue for 2025 was 2.5 million, which is broken down this way with a 34% gross margin. So these are all some of the business model, how we make money. We have a one-time implementation, but most of it is recurring with the sensor licensing platform and software licensing and transactional revenue for every ticket that we sell, hosting, as well as data plans if needed. Our market right now is in USA and Canada. It's an addressable market, of 8.5 billion. And, our SOM is 124 million right here. That's very untapped for this time and ready to take these venues to the future. So we are currently, targeting 70% venues in our revenues. We still have the transit, but it's a much smaller focus for us at this point. And we keep both because venues drive speed of adoption. You talk to a venue owner, it's one-on-one, and within a week, you've got them on board and they're ready to start selling. So it's very fast. Just yesterday, we signed up 2 new venues. But transit drives scale because one transit project, even a small one with a small city, is $1 million or over in revenue. So they're more implementation, heavy. However, there's significant revenue there and significant fraud that we can help them, capture. So with a very small team, we made the impossible possible. I have expertise building teams. I've done this a few times over. And this year, 2026, we're targeting, 1 million to cross 1 million in ARR. We are seeking a 2 million seed round at this point. We've been organically funded through this time, no external fundraise, all through sales and non-dilutive funding. We are seeking this funding for 24-month runway, and our goal is to reach 6 million in ARR for the 24 months. Of this fund round. I'd like to take questions.
Thank you, Sumitra.
Good.
Any questions? Yep.
Oh, I think he had a question.
I'll zigzag.
Can you explain a little bit more about how the system works? Are there sensors and then the ticket is on the phone? How does it?
Yeah, so as you walk by our sensors, which have an AI, software platform running over them, they connect with your smartphone to check your tickets while you're just walking. So you don't have to have, your phone out or scan it or anything. So it reduces the staff's effort needing to scan everybody. So right now, the way the industry works, every single person entering has to be scanned. Whereas here, the staff only has to worry about the small percentage that didn't work out in the automated scan. So this is a fully automated scanner.
Are you putting those sensors where you would typically show your ticket?
We can put them we put them at the entrances where the lines are coming in, doorways, entranceways, but they can also be networked throughout the venue. So you can see, where people are going. If somebody jumps in, an intruder jumps in through a wall, you'll know. So that's also the safety aspect of it. So an intrusion detection. is built into this. So it can automatically trigger an alert to the nearest inspector who's in that area saying, hey, here's a person that just jumped. Yeah.
Thank you. One more question up here.
I have a question. Say if you are an event planner and you wanted to use this, do you all charge by the ticket sale, or is it for that business to literally use the sensors for that one-time use? Just kind of curious how you all would charge for those services.
So we, in the small event sector, they do use our ticketing. We have a ticketing platform. So it's a complete platform. It's not just the access control. So there's two aspects to that. So we sell the tickets from day one. People are buying tickets on our platform. And when they come to the venue, then the sensors are deployed for doing the verifications as people come in. Now, there is also a possibility that in the, let's say the enterprise market where people already have ticketing systems, larger systems, our competitors list that I showed you, they already are selling the tickets for them. So we can overlay the AI on the access control piece. So we can, with an API integration with their ticketing platform, provide them with just the AI to, to do the on-ground verifications on the day of the event.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more quick one here in the front.
I can be loud. I'm up front. Quick question. I'm thinking of like small kids or like older adults who maybe don't have a smartphone, or friend groups, like we'll order stuff and then Venmo each other. But when you're the one person who holds all of these tickets, how does that technology work and how does that get dispersed?
Yeah, so that's a group setting. Currently, that's our big value add that we bring, because currently, if you're a group, then either you have to scan everybody's ticket, 10 people 10 times, or everybody else has to have a smartphone, so each person. So in this way, you have all tickets on your phone. The sensor knows you have 10 tickets. With one scan, it scans all 10 of them, but also it identifies the group which is together, and well, if you're whoever is entering together will be in that group, and you can share your tickets to the other group that's coming later, so they will have a separate entry. So you don't miss out on the other people who may be coming later.
Thank you. One more round of applause for Smith.
Smitra, that was fantastic. Interesting technology and powerful traction. So our next company is Dressit, founded by Becca Wenning. And I think sometimes when you meet a founder, you meet a person, you just know. You know they're going to break down every wall. They're going to get through every obstacle, no matter what it takes, and they are going to build something transformational. And that's what I encountered when I interviewed and I met Becca. I am a huge fan. And one of the most interesting things about Becca is that she is the domain expert in her space. She's a former bridal owner. She's a robotics coach. She is a woman. She's a Renaissance woman. And what she's doing is building the intelligence and infrastructure layer for one of the most emotional purchase decisions of a woman's life, her wedding dress. Take it away, Becca.
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. Thank you, Pri. That was great. Okay, good afternoon. I would like to tell you a story about two women, one who grew up in hand-me-downs and one who is building the future of bridal. This is me. I grew up in hand-me-downs, and this was my mom's dress. I also owned a bridal shop for 10 years. My name is Becca Wenning, and I'm the founder of Dressit. Bridal is an emotional space, and I invested my life savings in 2010, the same year that Pinterest and Instagram launched. I thought I was stepping into my dream business. Instead, I stepped into chaos. Every year, I had to invest $100,000 in samples based on gut instinct, because there was no intelligence. 87% of those dresses never sold. In 2020, I clawed my way to a successful exit. I almost quit so many times. but nobody fixed the mess that I got myself out of, so I came back to build the solution. This is our customer. She's an independent bridal designer. Her name is Leah. Her husband owns a food truck. She has an amazing social following. She's building a brand, but she also spends $30,000 a year on markets, and she hopes that the right boutiques show up and buy from her. There is a lot of problems in the bridal industry. It's completely fragmented, completely siloed, and they have amazingly inefficient systems for as big as a market as it is. Bridal designers are spending millions generating traffic to their brand, and this is how they connect their brides to their boutiques. This is a top designer, and this is what a bride sees. She's not doing that. She's leaving, and she's moving to an easier option. There were 3 billion searches on Pinterest last year. The brides are there, the demand is there, but they're invisible to the designers. Our solution is we give bridal designers first-party data from the online traffic they're already generating, and then we tell them exactly what to do with it next. Because clicks, likes, and follows don't equal intent. They never have. And this is what the bride sees. It's a 2-minute style discovery quiz, and it matches personalized dresses from that designer. We have a 42% completion rate because brides want to be helped. They are absolutely lost. We can launch this in 2 to 3 days. Designername.dressit.ai. We are also developing a Shopify plugin because there are a lot of designers out there who have Shopify websites. They're not using them for e-commerce. They're using them as a catalog. And those catalogs are completely unintelligent. And when a bride gets her dress matches, this is what she sees. It's a body confidence agent. And this is really, really cool. Because what we found is brides want to know if this dress is going to work on them. How is it going to work on their body? The designer records audio about each dress, and then that knowledge is structured into the model. So the bride's quiz signals are matched against it in real time. And then this is what the designer sees. She has a beautiful dashboard that tells her exactly what to do, but it's actually a 3-channel outreach engine powered by 1 data stream. We collect 23 data points from the bride. We tell the designer exactly what to do, who her brides are, who she needs to reach out to, where the demand is from her social. So now she is seeing all of that real-time intelligence on the interactions of the website content that she's already generating. My mouth is really dry. And why now? This is a critical time in this market. David's Bridal just announced this week, they have been like the enemy to designers, that they are entering the wholesale space. They are going to be at the very same market that I'm going to in a couple weeks because they need wholesale independent bridal shops to scale. Designers are pulling out, the markets are being canceled, and this looks blurry right now, but that is from a real boutique owner. She's like, we're not buying dresses because they're drowning in dresses. They have continuing to buy dresses that they don't know are going to work. I am the right person for this. I spent 10 years in a bridal boutique. I am a product and marketing background. I build and ship product right next to our engineering team. Big Kitty Labs is our partner. They're going to help us scale. My advisor, Maggie, who's blurry right now, I think because of the internet, she built, scaled, and exited in the same space. And my junior software engineer, his mom owns a shop in India. We know this bridal isn't emotional, and we get it. This is a massive opportunity, and we're starting with bridal because it's what we know, and then we can expand into all of fashion. Honeybook started in the wedding space as well. They built a tool for wedding planners, and they built to $2.4 billion. We are starting with the 2,000 indie bridal designers like Leah, and then we will move into the greater fashion space. We make money by charging bridal designers $500 to $1,500 per month. They get the AI-powered discovery, the body confidence agent, the dashboard, and the AI-assisted outreach. Then we move into the intelligent store locator. And this is where we scale, and this is where we can tap into the 5,800 bridal boutiques in the United States that are carrying multiple designers. Right now, there's a 70% gap from what a bride sees on a designer website to what's actually in the store. It takes her 5 steps to find a dress. It's absolutely insane. We are in market right now. We are live with 3 active pilots with live data flowing in. We have 5 more in the pipeline. I don't know why this isn't showing up. There's a lot of Must be my internet connection. Okay. We can see here, we were recently featured in a top B2B magazine, and our primary distribution channel is the bridal market. Any designer that's spending $10,000 to $40,000 a year on a bridal market is our customer. Madeline Gardner, we can't see it here, she followed Dress It. I sent her a message and she responded back the same day. She remembered me. She's one of the top global bridal designers in the world. And like Rob talked about trust, this industry is based on trust. We are meeting on April 9th, and if we can get her as an advisor, we will have massive network effects. No one owns the intelligence layer right now. The Knot, which is a leading directory, built an AI planner, and they left wedding dresses out of it entirely. It's because they don't have structured data, they told me. Shopify is a e-commerce platform, and it's just a catalog without intelligence. Brides don't buy dresses online. They want to experience it in person, and Gen Z is proving that fast. We are the intelligence that makes the bridal experience possible. We are raising a $1.25 million pre-seed. We have $750,000 already closed, and we are looking for 500 additional from strategic advisors. The market is pulling us in. I have domain expertise. This round gets us from pilot to production and from 3 to 100 customers. I wish you could see this picture. Designers are creators. They're not tech companies. Even the biggest global bridal designers are not tech companies. And they're spending millions driving brides to their brand. We help them get closer to the bride, and we grow wholesale. The other thing is, Leah, my designer, has a dream to get into Kleinfeld, and Dress It is going to help her get there. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions about wedding dresses.
Amazing pitch, Becca.
Thank you.
Questions?
I told Tyler, if no one asks me a question, I win.
What's your biggest challenge right now, Becca?
It's going to be getting the bridal designers to understand what we're actually building. That's why we're starting with small indie designers that we can work directly with and iterate quickly and prove it. Because this is something that is different. They know they need something, they're bleeding money, but they actually need to see it work first. And then that meeting with Madeline Gardner and going to market in a couple weeks just to get that social proof is going to be really, really huge for us. I think there is one question back there.
Question back here.
Oh, she had one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
So if the designers get the order from or rather the idea from the client, your client, like Lear, how do they get the measurements? Is it that they just notice what the client wants? How do they then did you give them the contact of the people to reach out to for the measurements and every other thing around?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So Leah is a designer that goes direct to consumer, and she needs to scale through wholesale. So that's really where we come in, very valuable. So the brides that are engaging in the style discovery, we don't get measurements, but we do get a size range, we get a budget, we get a zip code, we get how she wants to feel, what she wants her dress story to be. So like I said, those 23 data points, the sizes come in. And then in that dashboard, Leah knows if that's a direct bride that checked, reach out to me now, or she checks, I just want to stay in the loop, we give her a green light. The green light, then she knows I can reach out to her, because we really want to respect the consumers that are coming on. And then those designers, they own all of that data. So this is their first party data.
Thank you. Last call. Thank you. Questions? Last call. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Great presentation. Okay, so our next founder that we have coming up is Franca, who is a founder of Hey Nori. And what her and her co-founder are doing is they are solving a large and growing problem in the US and in the world around childhood obesity. And, when I first met these two founders, I just thought that these are the two perfect people to be going after and tackling this problem. Anna is a doctor. She understands, the clinical side of this problem and how to tackle it. And Franca has, 10 plus years working at McKinsey in consumer health. And between the two of them, they are, two experts that really know how to tackle this problem. And so it's no surprise that they've built a solution that works for providers, it works for hospital systems, and most importantly, it's working for families and they're seeing positive results. So they're in a position now where they have, a low cost of acquisition to get, their customers that are on board, and they're really just focused on continuing to build and to scale. So I'm excited to, bring Franca up to tell you more. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Franca. I am one of the co-founders of Hey Nuri, which is the first telemedicine player that offers pediatrician-led, insurance-covered medical care for the 1 in 5 children in the US that have obesity and that are affected by the obesity crisis. Before I created Hey Nuri, I spent 10 years at McKinsey in consumer health. I built for the likes of Abbott or Bausch & Lomb, fast-scaling digital consumer health businesses, often regulated by the FDA. Anna is a medical doctor. She has real clinical experience in pediatric obesity, but she's also a Harvard MBA. Our tech lead, Vlad, was one of Abbott's core tech leads for their biggest consumer product, Lingo, and Steph is both ex-Novartis, ex-McKinsey, and also has a Harvard MBA, as if we needed another one. So we are the right team to do this. But let's talk about what's going on today. 1 in 5 children, so that's 20% of our children, have obesity. With that comes prediabetes, hypertension. 50% of our patients have diagnosed depression, and our average patient age is 13. Okay? What happens today is if you have kids, you know the annual physical, it's coming. The doctor takes the height, the weight. They say, oh, your child has morbid obesity. That's not great. Try cutting out the soda. See you next year, guys. As if that would help anyone. There's less than 20,000 spots in specialty centers that get real results for the kids and can actually help them. For 15 million children that have obesity, there's another 15 that are overweight. So our customer pipeline is pretty solid. What happens is families are left desperately for help and they're searching online and it's just a complete care desert today. And here comes Hey Nuri. Our treatment always starts with an in-depth doctor consultation. We spend 45 minutes with the patient. That's way longer than any normal GP ever does. We do lab works and we do prescribe medication, including GLP-1s, where it's applicable. We then have weekly coaching that includes nutrition education, behavior change for both the kids and the parents to make it a whole family solution and something that can be sustainable long-term. And we make it fun. Our daily app for the kids has over 90% daily active users. The kids love it. They can talk to their coach. The parents can talk to the doctor. Everyone is pretty engaged, and it doesn't feel like healthcare or sterile or boring or like a chore. It feels like fun. It's about the kid being like a high school athlete and getting a good diet for that. It's something that the kids genuinely enjoy. And it is changing lives. This is Alana. She started as a patient in January. She had prediabetes until a couple of weeks ago when we did follow-up labs, and it has been reversed. She also lost about 15 pounds, and she started playing tennis. She's one of our really happy patients where we see that even in the span of just a few weeks and months, because kids' metabolisms are working well in general, change can happen and can really change their life trajectory. We get a lot of love from our customers on both social media and in our feedback. And we also do collect data extensively. I think the most important metric is kids lose on average 3 pounds per month. That's ideal is within this sort of, we don't want them to lose too fast. We don't want them to lose too little. So this is a very sustainable weight loss. And that's true for both patients that are on GLP-1s and that aren't. GLP-1s are like a tool in our toolbox, but it's the core is our care model, which is centered around behavior change. Our traction. We had a closed beta running with 50 patients until end of December to prove out outcomes, to learn more, to really figure out what works and iterate on our care model. We had great results there, the 3 pounds, the 90%. Since then, we've become a network with most major insurers nationwide. So we cover about 85% of all commercial lives in the US. We can cover, most families have $0 copay with us. And we're doubling every month in customer size right now. We are hiring clinicians like crazy. I usually, I think 2 weeks ago, I gave the same presentation. I said we have 20. I just checked, we now have 28 clinicians. And I think by the end of the month, we'll probably have 35. Because we do have our clinicians, our coaches, our doctors at the core of it right now. And that's one of the things we're really working very hard on scaling further. And we have a lot of tailwinds. Childhood obesity is the #1 priority of the US Health Department. If you go to their website right now, you see that at the top of their list. There's a bunch of policy changes that help us. It also helps us that a lot of parents have seen success on GLP-1s. They see the side effects are manageable. They see they're safe. The FDA has approved them for children, and the American Association of Pediatrics has actually endorsed them as a key part of treatment, moving away from let's wait and see, cut out the soda, to early and effective treatment, because the consequences on your body of having obesity are severe the longer it goes on. And what we're also seeing is with Trump RX and payer coverage increasing, this becomes now affordable for most families, both commercially insured and on Medicaid. We just last week got our first Medicaid license in Florida, so pretty soon we're going to be covering that population as well. This is a huge opportunity. As I said, in the US, 30 million kids are affected. If all of them would be treated, which they aren't today, this represents $100 billion in healthcare spend per year. Our starting market is children 10 to 18, commercially insured, but we are expanding and experimenting a lot with Medicaid, and we are experimenting with younger ages because obesity isn't just a teenager problem. It actually starts as early as toddler ages. Our 5-year obtainable revenue is at $1 billion. We believe we can get there. That would represent around 150,000 customers. When we compare ourselves to similar players in similar markets, that's very obtainable for us because there's nobody else right now. When we look at the obesity space, it's pretty crowded. Oh no. You can't see this, just I can see this. The obesity space for adults is pretty crowded. Adult obesity rates in the US are actually starting to go down. Something that has been rising for decades is starting to go down because for adults, treatments exist, both out of pocket and covered by insurance. But in children's digital health, there's just nothing. Nobody is addressing them because there's structural barriers to entry for all the adult players. May that be COPPA, data and data privacy regulation, lack of insurance coverage for any digital player, or just the fact that kids aren't many adults and you do need a different care model to care for them properly. Our revenue is fully funded by insurances right now. We make on average around $600 per patient per month. What we call the hot phase of treatment lasts around 9 to 10 months, depends a bit on GLP-1 versus not. That represents a bit more than $6,000 in ARPU per year at a gross margin of 60%. We have an LTV of almost 4K, and we put that in comparison to our CAC, which is $80. So in the first session, the first time the doctor talks to a patient, we already break even and a bit more. And the lifetime value that we see in the patients and the retention is pretty good. Even when we have small operational glitches, which you have as a startup, our customers bear with us because they really, really want this. They are desperate for a solution for their children. They are so happy when they find us. They're like, I've been searching for this for years. Where have you been? Well, now we're here. We finished our closed beta last year. This year, we launched an app for the kids in the App Store. We launched an app for the parents in the App Store. We have a fully functional AI-driven co-pilot for our clinicians called Bean that enables coaching and performance management of our clinicians across the board because we know we want to give great care to every patient. And monitoring that using AI to analyze every single data point is really important to us. We want to be the best player, the right player. And 2026 is all about scaling, making sure every process is automated from billing to prior authorizations to customer retention. If anyone does feel like they are out of the hot phase, how do we maintain them? We want to make sure we are a tech-first company. And then the other thing on the roadmap for us is AI first. We want to move away from being paid for a specific service, a session, and move towards being paid for an outcome, which is both in the interest of the insurers or the employers as well as us, because we do this the right way and we do have great results, and this will set us apart in the long run. Thank you so much. This was me talking very fast. Any questions?
Page up front. Any questions?
Great presentation, thanks. As far as the coaching, how much of the coaching is nutrition-based?
It's about 50-50, but it really depends on the child. So it's a mix of nutrition education, which is more important in the beginning, but also behavior change. So thinking about things like, if your problem is overeating, we say serve the dinner at the counter, and before you get the next portion, drink a large glass of water and walk around the house one time. So it's like, it's a mix. And it really depends on where the child is in their motivation as well. Like some kids are in it and ready, and some kids aren't, and we always account for that and make sure it's individualized and personal treatment. It's not a curriculum.
Thank you.
I had a question about the clinician pipeline, because I feel like that's the problem now. Going to the doctor, it's always rushed, right? So how do you make sure you're getting top tier nurse practitioners, doctors, ones that actually have the capacity and time to, have these appointments and make them meaningful?
Yeah. So we're just like, that's one of the things we're learning right now is how to recruit at scale. We have a pretty solid 4-interview process for each candidate. One of these interviews is with one of our advisors, a member of the American Association of Pediatrics, and their KOL on pediatric obesity. He's a specialist in the field. So we check both the emotional fit. Is this a person that you can trust as a parent? Is this a person that has they're all board certified? We only work with doctors right now. We don't do NPs or PAs for complexity reasons. We assess their technical knowledge, if you will, and then also their digital and tech savviness. Because we are digital first, our doctors do need to use our platforms. And so we test for all these things quite systematically and have everything codified and standardized, and are now ramping up recruiting as fast as we can.
Thank you. One more question? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Warnock and Anthony Hughes know a thing or two about helping people launch successful careers. Anthony was the founder of Tech Elevator, a very successful startup that has trained thousands of software developers and delivered a 9x return to investors. Terry was one of his first hires and a senior leader in the company. But along their journey of launching a successful company, they uncovered a deeper problem. That is that most job seekers don't simply need training, they need guidance. They need a way to better understand their strengths and interests and what careers are most closely aligned with who they are. Because of this, they developed the company, or started the company Vitals. Vitals is a career coaching platform built around a proven and proprietary personality assessment tool, coupled with an AI-driven guidance system that helps individuals identify career paths that are closely aligned with both their strengths and their interests. The platform guides users through a step-by-step process and also gives them the option of being connected to live coaching professionals. Basically, it gives them 24/7 access to a coach, an automated and personal coach at a fraction of the cost of traditional coaching systems. Just as important, through their deep connections from their previous jobs, especially to universities and business enterprises, they now have a distribution model that goes B to B to C that scales cost effectively. So please join me in welcoming Terry.
Thanks, Ethan. I'm the last one, so it's between me and your beer at happy hour, so bear with me here. My name is Terry Warnock. I'm co-founder, chief growth officer of Vitals. I'm sure everyone in this room has had that thought. Am I in the right career? Am I on the right team? Am I working on the right problems at the right company? And you've got two choices. You grind it out, you wait a couple years and see if it gets better, or you make a big transition. There are 38 million Americans every year that have that same problem. Guess what? A little thing called AI popped up a couple years ago. It only makes that harder, not easier. Where are people turning to answer? They're also going to AI for those answers. It's generic. Go ask ChatGPT what I should do with my life. Come back to me and tell me what it says. We're solving that problem. We're taking a science-backed solution, not another personality quiz on Facebook, not another generic AI solution, something that really understands you and helps you make life's toughest decisions. As Ethan said, it's kind of surreal. We founded Tech Elevator 2 blocks from here. We grew the company to 30 million in annual reoccurring revenue, had some incredible B2B partnerships, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, AutoZone, and we're able to successfully transition that company to a publicly traded enterprise Stride, and grew our investors' return by over 9 times. The team that brought Tech Elevator to the market is also the team bringing Vitals to the market. My co-founder, Anthony Hughes, has been a successful CEO of 2 exits here in Northeast Ohio. Josh Tucholsky is a software developer for the last 20 years, is building our agentic architecture and the software behind the solution. And our 4th co-founder, Dr. David Watterson, is the science behind the product. He ran an industrial psychology practice here in Northeast Ohio for the last 30 years and built an instrument, the Watterson Personality Inventory. It's been used by the CIA and by the International Olympic Committee, and it's what powers our technology. So a little bit about what Vitals is. Again, it's based on the WPI, which is based on the Big 5 framework. That's the highest gold standard in psychology research, and so it is backed by science. You've all had that experience. I'm sure at work somebody says, take a personality assessment. You get the results, you look at it, you're like, this is interesting. I don't know what else to do with this, and it goes to die in your Google Drive folder. Vitals is what happens after that PDF. We actually take the life context, your financial context, your time context, all the things that make you a human, and align that with your personality to, again, help you make the hardest decisions in life. So we are right now in beta phase. We have a beta group going through and validating the agentic output with the science that's already existed. But I wanted to give you a quick example of the models that we're building. So this is Sarah. She's a single mother. She graduated with a liberal arts degree, took the first job out of college. She's been there about 5 years, and she feels stuck. She has no idea what to do. She's reading articles about AI taking her job, and so she turns to Vitals. We first get really deep and understand her personality and how it applies to the actual modern workplace. Then we take those constraints. She can't take evening classes. She's got a limited budget. We start to plan out what that would look like. And then she goes through a structured coaching session. In this scenario, it's our career clarity journey. Things don't just happen on the internet. We have her do experiments in the real life, talking to people that have the jobs that she might want, interviewing people that have not done the job, and getting real clarity on a decision that will literally change the trajectory of her family's life for the next decade. She could have just gone on Indeed and started applying, but she's now really taking careful steps into making the right decision. Man, my mouth is dry too. So our market is the career seekers. Again, that's 38 million people in America that are either switching careers or getting into the workforce for the first time. That represents 535 million addressable market in the US, which is 20% of the professionals that are already paying for professional development outside of their company's 4 walls. What's really cool for us is this is just the tip of the iceberg. The same thing that powers career can also power relationships, self-development, and health and wellness. So our revenue model, we are not the show us your credit card and then we'll show you what we do after that. We want to show high value to our users up front. So once they get into the platform and really start discovery, we layer on traditional subscription metrics. And then as Ethan mentioned, we have a coaching marketplace when they hit a wall. I am somebody that doesn't think AI can solve everything. Human coaches really have a place. They can get the solutions quicker because they've done the background work first and our coaches understand what they've done. Followed by a B2B2C approach after we've hardened the product and really nailed the user journey. Later this year, we're going to have pilots in place with workforce development and colleges. Again, going back to our Tech Elevator days, we have a huge network in that space. I don't know if anybody's worked with a career counselor in a college environment, but changing a comma on your resume isn't the discussion you need to be having. It's me as a human being and how to navigate what AI is doing to all of our careers right now. So it's a pretty fragmented market right now. You have your traditional assessments, your DISCs, your Myers-Briggs, your Hogans. Again, they stop at the PDF and have no idea who you are as a human outside of your personality. There are career discovery platforms. They've got a lot of articles and blogs and advice, but again, they have no idea who you are. And then there's a really fragmented market where there's hundreds of thousands of individual career coaches. There's a couple big platforms in the B2B space, BetterUp and BetterHelp, but again, they don't have the underlying psychology. Vitals overlaps all three of those because we truly believe to make tough decisions, you have to engage all three of these. So we are right now raising 1.5 million pre-seed. We've raised $1 million to date. We'll be closing the round in the next 60 days to build out product development and to harden the solution for B2B2C pilots later this year. What I really want beyond fundraising is, again, those 38 million Americans that are struggling right now to figure out truthfully what the hell to do with AI in their career. I need this group to help me get this into the hands of those individuals so we can help them make better decisions. Thank you.
Amazing job, Terry. Questions, then drinks. Questions.
Ready to drink.
Anybody? Oh, in the back.
Sorry, just a coaching marketplace. Is
Yes.
it virtual coaches? Is it virtual and human coaches?
Human coaches, when you hit a wall with the structured coaching on the AI platform, and they will know what your problem is, what you've already tried, and who you are. So that first session you have with a human coach isn't, tell me about yourself. You can get right into solutioning. So human coaches on the back end.
Thank you. Oh, one more.
So maybe a little bit more of a comment, but
Yeah.
you know, I talked to you earlier. This is very interesting. As a school leader, I used to be able to, as a school principal for high schoolers, right? I used to be able to coach them on like what to major in, what to even start, like kind of like before this even happened.
Yep.
What to do with your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of my past guidance is out the window with the current landscape and AI and where the job markets are going. I just don't know what even to do with the kids anymore. So I see that there's an application for high schoolers, particularly kind of in that, and we talk about when they're early, they haven't fully formed yet, but I still think there's an application for like sophomores.
Yeah.
They're now starting to look at colleges or career readiness before they actually get there. Very powerful tool. I think there's lots of cool stuff in the future.
Thank you.
Well, one last one.
So really impressive platform. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot recently is what happens if AI crashes. And so I see it very much like the dot-com bubble. Like we're still using the internet, like it didn't go away, but it changed fundamentally. Is if, you know, there's a massive realignment or restructuring within that AI landscape, you know, how does Vitals think about that?
That if you know yourself, that doesn't change. That's why we're focused on the human, because you're right, the technologies will change, but you will change. But at your core, if you have some clarity about who you are and where you want to go, you at least have a better chance to navigate the craziness we're going through right now.
Thank you. One last round of applause for Terry. And now I'll turn it over to Allie for closing remarks, right?
Thank you, Abel. Thanks, everyone. Please join me in congratulating this cohort on 10 fantastic pitches. And also to the EIRs, because they put in so much effort to make this a success. If you want to connect with any of the founders, happy hour is a great time to do so. And on behalf of the JumpStart team, I want to say thank you for your time and enthusiasm and curiosity today. I also want to thank our showcase sponsor one more time, Big Kitty Labs. Thank you, Shar. Come on up. And I would like to invite any potential future sponsors to come find me at happy hour to learn about how you can also partner with Trailblazer accelerators. Tushar, you want to say a few things?
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Fantastic pitches, and feel free to reach us out. Reach me out. I'll be here outside, or you can always reach us out at contact@bigkitty.labs.com or tushar@bigkittylabs.com. But thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Ali, and thanks, Rachna.
right, that's a wrap. Thank you.